Awesome, y'all. Everybody's coming in. Everybody's looking good. I'm so excited. Hi, Jeremy. Hi, Cassie.
While we're waiting, Etsley is the name? Etsley?
Cool. And also, Krysta, I'm assuming Diana?
Yes.
Thank you. That was another question I
had. I woke up and I was like, they're going to want to know about Diana.
Indeed, indeed. You know, Diana, like, we named her after the princess. Hey, Michael.
Hi. What's up, everybody?
Good to have you here. We'll do intros in a couple minutes once I think we have the critical mass of folks.
Haji, did you get that press 5 minutes ago?
Such a poor choice. I got a blowout on Friday. Like, I hadn't straightened my hair in 6 years. And I got a blowout just because, like, I was like, I in Sugarland, my water is not fully returned. And I don't know if there are any natural hairstylists. But my hair, I was like, I really want to wash my hair so badly. And this like little trickle is not, I can't do it. And so I got a blowout. And now I just am like, oh God.
The work. Oh, the work.
And then you show up with all of like this big full texture. And I'm just like, oh, I miss that. You look great.
All of you look amazing. I feel the good energy.
It's a bunch of gorgeous people. All right, y'all. Let me see here. So, in terms of cast, we've got 7 and Savannah. So Savannah said that she'd be coming in a little hot, but still before 3. We need our 2 other playwrights on here. And then I think Olivia's still trying to get hooked up properly. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Mary Alice and Cassie, have you 2 highlighted your planet parts or anything, or feel like you're locked? Great.
I did.
You did. Okay.
Do you need to switch them or something?
Yeah. Would you be able to switch? So that like Mary Alice, I was just looking in like the labor scene is one that I'm thinking would be good to separate to switch it, so that Mary Alice, you would be the moon.
Okay.
And then what planet were you, Mary Alice?
Saturn.
Saturn. Cool. So then, got to be Saturn. And Mary Alice, the moon is a permanent quinceañera, eternal quinceañera.
Okay.
So y'all, hopefully, I might text Olivia to make sure that like she's can log on the meeting, right? Because Zoom is
here.
horrible.
I'm just finishing my lunch.
Okay, cool. That's fine. That's fine. All right, cool. So I know that this is Donato was saying this is his first Zoom reading. Anyone else? Is this your first Zoom reading that you've done? So Michael, cool. And Semenchi, gotcha. Basically what I do is that like when you the general thing is that when so that for those who know Zoom, on the corner of your screen is both a mute and a stop video. So I can go down to the corner of my screen and hit stop video, and then you might only see my name. And I'm actually also going to do hide non-video participants, which means we would only be seeing people with their video cameras on. I turn my camera on, I'm back. You can also mute. And then, so basically, when your character is off stage, stop video and mute if you feel like you can handle doing both of those. If not, you can just be silent and then still have the microphone on. I think is fine, because I feel like it's very easy to be like, to jump back on and start talking and you're muted and you don't know it yet. So bear that in mind. We're going to begin with me, Krysta, Jesus, and Victor. And we're gonna kind of be like, welcome back to the Ruining Lorca series. And then right after we introduce ourselves, we're gonna bring you all on. And then, and actually Taji, you can also be up at the beginning of things with us. So like, we'll introduce you as well. Then we're gonna go right into the reading. I'll do stage directions. I will have my camera off the whole time. And again, going through so when it says something like, Polo enters, Donato, that's when you turn on your thing. Or if you're on stage at the top of the scene, have your camera on, et cetera, et cetera. And then this is gonna be live streamed over Facebook. And then it's also being recorded for eventual upload to YouTube. I actually have to, we'll get through the whole play before I have to run, but I will leave at the 90-minute mark. And at that point, Krysta will keep going. Actors, once we're done with the reading, it's entirely up to you whether you want to stay or whether you want to check out at that point. I don't want to and if you do need to leave, but you have some feedback or thoughts for Krysta, by all means, email Krysta and or myself and or Taji, because Taji is dramaturging, with any sort of questions that you have or thoughts that you have. And then someone wants to watch, can they watch live on Facebook? Absolutely. So you all should be, if you are on Facebook, actually, I've added Semenchi and Michael as friends very recently. I will make sure you're tagged properly in the post that I made. And the post that I made has the link to the event. And I'll watch the event. I'm also going to share it to my Facebook as well. So.
Can I ask a quick question?
By all means.
I'm just double checking that if you prefer that we mute ourselves if we're not speaking.
Yes.
And if not, we just can stay silent. And was it just Donato that you wanted to go to be dark until he's on, or did you want that with all of us, all the actors?
All actors.
All actors. So toggle back and forth off and on?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Does it make any difference to you if we have a profile picture in Zoom or not?
It doesn't make any difference to me. Like I said, we should be with hide non-video participants. Okay. You should be entirely invisible. And y'all, this will be messy. I think it's okay if it's messy.
Thank you.
But this is what we're trying to do, is to make sure that everyone gets a chance to get a look at the show, also a look at the process that Jesus and Victor and Krysta and I have been developing over the course of the past year, really, which is really exciting. And Savannah should be logging on in a moment.
A fun weekend read, Krysta. It was nice. I liked it.
Thank you. Yay. Hello.
Hey, Jesus. Hey, Victor.
I love all the El Paso shit.
Hey, Savannah.
Hi. Thank you for being patient.
No worries. Savannah, I just went over the basics with folks in terms of like Zoom reading, which have you done, I assume, some Zoom reading, Zoom reductions?
Yes, I have.
Cool. Like, so video on when you're on stage, video off when you're off stage. Cool. And yeah, so for Jesus and Victor, who came in a bit later, we're gonna start with the four of us and Taji on screen. We'll bring the actors, we'll turn off our screens. And let's also do, I'll intro the actors, like I'll say your names, to introduce yourselves and say who you're playing as well. And then I will be on for 90 minutes, then I will need to leave, but Krysta will become the main host if folks wants to stay and chat longer than that. All good, all good? All right.
And do you have, you probably said this and I missed it, is someone specifically reading stage directions?
Me. I'm doing it.
Woohoo! All right. Thank you. Hello, Jesus.
Yep.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, folks. All right. Cool, y'all. All right,
So
I'm about to...
Cameras off?
Yeah, so actor cameras off. About to see about going live. Wish me luck.
Can you do a countdown? So that we have a gimmick.
Once we're live, I can do one that's fake.
A fake gimmick? What? Why? Why would you do that to me?
Because I'm a mean person.
Wow.
Also, clearly it's also not working, so that's another thing. All right, let's try this. We're gonna have to do it to my actual, to my timeline, probably. Yep. Haha. We're going on Fusebox. That'll work. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 3/4, 1.5, 0.75, 0.6, 0.5, 0.49. Okay, 0. There we go. That's a genuine countdown just for Victor. Because I care. Because I care.
No, I cares.
Yes, because you cares. And I rams. All right, y'all. Welcome to the first big read-through of our Ruining Lorca series. We are super excited about it. We are starting with a new play by Krysta Gonzales. So we've been working for the past year on these various projects, and I want to begin by introducing our playwrights and our dramaturg for this piece. Starting with our playwright for this piece, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Krysta Gonzales, the writer for Blood Quinces.
Nice.
I hope y'all laugh a lot.
Nice, I hope so too. And then our other two playwrights, starting with Jesus.
I'm also a playwright in this project. I'm writing Yermo/working on Yerma.
Nice.
And I'm excited for this. I'm excited for vampires.
Yay! Me too. Me too. And Victor.
Hi, my name is Victor. I'm very excited to see this quinceañera happen and for it to trigger memories of my own. And I'm assigned House of Bernarda Alba, but I don't follow rules.
We've noticed. And also our dramaturg for the piece. Introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Taji Senior. Yeah, I'll just say that. I'm excited. That's what else I'm supposed to say. I am yes. really okay. That's okay. Sorry. I blanked that quickly. I'm super excited. I have had the chance to. This is my second version of this play that I read, and I think people are gonna laugh a lot. And I have so many questions. I have so many I want to know about these things. I love these characters. I love these devices. I love the silliness of it. I love Krysta's voice, so I'm so excited to share it with people. And I love so many of these actors who are so wonderful. Okay, thank you.
Indeed. And my name is Rudy Ramirez, and I am directing these pieces, these readings, this development process. And of course, huge thanks to Fusebox Festival and Texas Performing Arts for creating these amazing grants by which we could develop these works. And now we would like to bring on our amazing cast. Come in and join. Turn on your screens that we might see you. I'm so excited for this amazing group of people. So I will begin by, I'll just go through and ask folks to introduce themselves and say who they're playing. And I'm gonna start with Cassie.
Hello, my name is Cassie Reveles, and today I'll be playing Saturn and Elena.
Nice. And Michael.
Hey, I'm Michael Jewell. I will be playing Guillermo and Angel.
Nice. Savannah.
Hi, I'm Savannah Cole, and I'll be playing Gloria.
Nice. We lost one. Semenchi.
Hey, I'm Semenchi, and I'll be playing Etzli.
And Olivia.
Hi, I'm Olivia Jimenez. I'll be playing Diana and Jupiter.
And Jeremy.
Hey, what's up? My name is Jeremy Rashad Brown. I will be playing Leo or Leonardo.
Nice. Donato.
Hi, my name is Donato Rodriguez, and I am playing Leopoldo and Frank.
Nice. And Mary Alice.
Hi, I'm Mary Alice Carnes. I am playing Yoli, Lupe, and the Moon.
Wonderful. Awesome, y'all. Well, I will be reading stage directions. I'm going to stop my video, and we're going to get started. Quinces de Sangre, a full-length play by Krysta Gonzales. Setting, El Paso, 80s or 90s. An orb spins slowly. It's the moon. She relishes the revealing moment like an awkward model who doesn't know how to sell a head tilt in a portrait session. Ta-da! She is now full and frontal. Saturn and Jupiter throw glitter in the sky. The planets are celebrating the moon's transformation. The color red begins to fill her. Saturn and Jupiter join her in a wholesome dance that remains facing in the audience's direction. As the dance progresses, the redness then drains from the bottom of the moon. Blood descends to the mud. The moon giggles as her madrinas, Saturn and Jupiter, cackle in celebration.
Don't worry, Mika. That's just your first blood. It's normal.
Oh, well, it happens when it's over. And when it will be over.
It's for fucking ever, but cyclical, so forever light.
Oh, so bad, but not bad.
It's fine bad. For us at least, other creatures tend to behave strangely when you're full in blood.
That's awful. How do I stop that from happening?
It's just a side effect of something else. you don't act entirely like yourself either.
What do you mean?
A little tired.
A little irritable.
A little insatiable.
And speaking of blood.
I bet you're hungry, Luna. We're going to the woods to get fed.
Okay. Should I bring my purse?
Nah, we won't be out for too long. Just bring that appetite of yours. I'm sure we'll find just who we need.
They exit into the woods. 123 years forward from the previous scene. Guillermo and Leo are in an awkward knife fight in the woods. The choreography is dreadfully slow, and their weapons are plastic McDonald's breakfast knives. They grunt with each hit and regenerate. The back and forth goes on for a comedically long time. The blood is a little excessive.
Why?
Won't
you
die?
A huge bloody fangy clash. Neither are dead.
You're a
super vampire. Yeah.
Guillermo spits and then wipes his brow to recover.
Shit, for real? You too?
Real talk.
Well, ain't nothing gonna kill you. Not daylight?
Mm-mm.
Not crosses?
Nah, none of that. Not even a steak. Well, maybe a well-done steak. An abomination like that would kill anybody.
You really should have married Diana.
I know, but as you may recall, I was betrothed to Elena, whom you've seen naked very recently.
Listen, I'm sorry about that. How old are you anyway?
I was one of her first.
Who?
The Moons. You?
Same. Blood moons are brutal.
It's better than what the girls may have in store now. Lots of growing pains.
Yeah.
You know, I would have been perfectly happily undercover with Elena and her, sure, Poppy, whatever you say, could you buy me this vibe? But no, you had to go and ruin it, not just for whatever you set up for yourself, but everything I arranged for myself. For just a few years of love. Something like it.
And what would have happened 20 years from now? When you had to eat her or take away all her memories of her life because you ain't aged yet and she started asking questions?
Well,
don't say it.
I mean,
memo.
Black don't crack.
God. Okay. That ain't a reason for everything.
Well, hell, I could have made it to 70. That's not nothing.
The light from a fire glimmers in the distance as a mob crosses the forest towards the vampires.
Shit.
I hate that we gotta play dead and start over. I don't like going underground.
Me neither. You know, it's just better for everyone in the long run. Fewer fires, less regeneration pain.
I'll see you on the other side.
Not for long.
Oh, you already got something else set up?
Nah. I'm gonna go watch over my family. You should do the same.
They turn themselves into corpses. The light from the crowd gets closer. The moon saunters on.
Hopefully nobody notices how tiny the chuchilitas are.
Jupiter and Saturn snicker. Guillermo and Leo swat her hand away.
You're no fun anymore.
She twirls away as the mob gets closer and Elena's sobs fill the air. Next scene. The executive director, Lupe Padilla's office in Sundown Funeral Home and other special events. Elena and Diana sit in uncomfortable chairs next to each other. Elena is wearing a bloody bridal gown and keeps dabbing her eyes with a beat-up Kleenex. Diana, visibly pregnant, is wearing a lavender lace skirt suit with a hat and lace gloves. Poison contained, so much so that we know she's playing chess, not checkers. Their chairs face Lupe's empty desk covered in papers, candy wrappers, and small bottles of dead flowers. The chair behind the desk is covered in a rebozo. Neither woman acknowledges the other. Elena looks to Diana tearfully. Diana shakes her head. A beat. Elena looks to Diana again tearfully. Diana puts up her pointer finger. A beat. Elena looks to Diana again tearfully, and in a series of tears, gulps, squeaks, gibberish, tries to explain her part and her pain in the murders at her wedding.
Just can't even, no. Oh, please, just let me weep with you.
Weep all you want in another room away from me.
Lupe hobbles in.
Aye. Thank you for waiting. So sorry I'm late.
It's no problem.
God.
Lupe shuffles a bunch of papers around with a knowing that only she possesses. She finally digs up a coffee-stained brochure, clearly from the 80s.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Losses. There were two. Two, deaths. Yesterday.
Oh, yes? Yes? Oh.
Well, go on. I didn't make this mess, so I'm not going to be the one to describe it.
Elena lets out a long sigh. It's either the equivalent of 4 sighs long. Diana does not flinch. Elena clicks her teeth.
Fine. Our husbands killed each other in a knife fight on my wedding day last night after I ran away with her husband. During the reception, after the ceremony.
All yesterday.
We really appreciate you letting us exchange the wedding for 2 funerals, since...
Yesterday.
Oh. Well, thank you for choosing Sundown Funeral Home and other special events, offering events cherishable as life itself. There are a number of options available to women like you. If your event planning with us, you can save up to 30% on those big moments of life right up until death.
Ugh.
Diana scoffs. Elena looks at her, an awkward pause.
Continue.
If you sign today, we can do a funeral and quince combo with the funeral this afternoon and then the quince for a descendant of the departed 15 years from now.
Assuming you're still even in business.
For 15
total
each. Senoras, we've been serving the El Paso community since 1950. We ain't going nowhere. We did Vicky Carr's quince and funeral. We do memorial websites too, so.
They do websites?
Ay, qué nice. You do realize that we wouldn't have to do a funeral quince combo if you'd stuck to sleeping with your own husband?
I said I was sorry about that.
Who screws everything up on their wedding day? You just couldn't wait until, I don't know, 2 years or 2 kids in like everybody else?
Please excuse us. It's just all a little fresh.
It's normal. Good even, todo.
How much would it cost without the quinces?
Lupe finds an unopened candy and starts unwrapping it. It's stickier than normal, so the task requires concentration.
15,000.
For both?
Each.
I see. Well, I don't understand why we need 2 quinces between us.
I don't know. I mean, a lot could happen between then and now.
Lupe's still trying to dislodge the candy from the wrapper.
Como que? What, are you planning a spontaneous conception or something?
Terms and conditions apply, obviously, but the package includes the hall, the food, a cash bar, the decorations, and the DJ for up to 100 guests.
I don't have time for this. Fine, we'll take the funeral quince combo or whatever.
You'll be glad you did. Mira, watch.
Lupe finally frees the sticky candy from the wrapper and pops it in her mouth. She moves a few papers around and they stick to her fingers. She hands the woman a sticky contract.
Great. Sign here.
The women sign. Lupe gets another page from a separate yet to be opened drawer overflowing with disorganized papers.
Initial here.
Each woman gracefully signs, trying to outdo the other in delicacy and beauty. This could go on for several rounds.
Thank you. I'm sorry the only availability we have for the funerals is this afternoon. I can have my guy Frank get the cadavers. Sorry. I mean, caballeros. Ready, now.
Perfect. Let's go get ready, Diana.
Elena gets up to leave and makes a gentle grab for Diana.
No touching.
Diana rises from her seat and loudly snaps her large clutch perch and extends her hand to Lupe. They shake. Diana sneers at Elena. Elena politely nods to Lupe. Lupe walks them out of her office.
Bring your people back after 3 p.m., okay? I'll have a choir and everything real nice, mijas, okay? And let us know when you get married again. We do those too. Even if they're second or third or whatever, we don't judge. Pero we can help with the annulments too, if you need that. Es que... Okay, bye-bye.
Lupe returns to her seat. Frank enters.
Don Lupe?
Yes, hi, Frank. We got to get those two ready for this afternoon.
No problem. Es que they're stabbed up pretty bad, though. It's like lots of small punctures, though. They must have used little baby knives or something. I'm surprised they died.
Wes, do your best. I think we should have a joint viewing since all the family knows each other y todo. We could use the food from the reception yesterday since they didn't eat nothing. It'll be nice for them to not feel like they have to pick over, the other.
No problem, Don Lupe. That's a good idea.
Frank shuffles out. Next scene. The viewing room is large, dark, and somewhat dated. The viewing section is peppered with family quietly sniffling and catching up. 2 blown-up pictures of the late Leonardo and the late Guillermo stand surrounded by flowers. Guillermo has a nice headshot, and Leonardo has a shirtless bathroom mirror selfie. 2 opposing sound systems play Entre Tus Manos and On Eagle's Wings, respectively, on a loop for the entire scene simultaneously. Lupe and Frank greet people entering. Yoli, Guillermo's mother, spots Leopoldo sitting down. She marches over and sits next to him.
We had a deal. No shows, no mess. I thought you said Elena was a good girl.
She is a good girl.
My son and I drove all the way to the pinche east side to meet you on your side of town for this deal.
She went to Coronado, so?
Oh, to hell with the Coronado. That doesn't mean anything when you've got a bloodbath in your hands.
Leopoldo takes a sip from a flask.
Having bad taste in men doesn't make you bad. It makes you sad.
He offers Yoli the flask.
And it makes things for everyone else around you bad.
Leopoldo laughs. She snatches it out of his hand and takes a swig.
You still owe us that dowry, by the way.
Yeah. I should have known she'd never be a bride, just like her mama.
I loved being a bride and a wife and a mother.
Huh? Nah, you're just an old lady with no grandkids, I guess. No justice in this world.
See? But old ladies with no kids live forever, and lonely viejos wither over time. Tick-tock, cabron.
Yoli takes another swig. Elena enters and greets her father, Leopoldo, and sits on the eagle's wing side.
Hi, Appa.
Mija.
He stands to kiss her hello.
Dowry.
Yoli stands abruptly and then shuffles over to her side of the room, mean-mugging them as they all find their seats. Elena sits down quietly.
Don't mind her. You keep your head up, mija.
Thanks, puppy. But look at the mess.
Frank claps his hands as if to rally a team before a play in the game.
Damas y caballeros, there's about 15 minutes left for the memorial before we head over to the burial at Our Lady of Mount Carmel, who did us a favor and squeezed us in at the last minute. And we're really, really sorry about the cadavers.
Caballeros.
Caballeros, sorry. Yes, they stabbed each other with these tiny little knives. Too much for us to, well, they kind of look like ground beef, but just on one part.
Maps are available at the exit.
Sorry, I said too much, huh?
It's okay, Frank. You're learning. You'll get the hang of it. Just remember, less is more.
Yeah. I remember you said that.
The congregation is singing along to the songs as best they can, swaying, hands opened up to the Lord. The doors fly open and Diana enters with baby Angel in his stroller. She's supported by her mother, Cande. Their procession down the aisle is an entire woeful show. They sit on the entusiasmanos side in the front row. Diana rocks the stroller as Angel fusses. A piano flourish. Yoli stands up in front of Guillermo's pictures.
I'd like to say a few words about mi Memo. He was obviously a tonto, but he had a real big heart. Too big for this world. He always took such good care of his mama, of everyone around him. He used to always ask me, Mommy, what do you need? How can I help? Mi Memo. We should all be so lucky to have a child who loves us the way my son loved me. He was on track to be an officer in the army. He was family first, and now he'll never get to meet the family he made.
The aside from Leopoldo and Elena takes place simultaneously with his speech.
I thought his name was Guillermo. Who's mi Memo?
Apa!
Weirdos.
Apa, she's saying me Memo, like my Memo, my son Memo.
Still, like I said, weirdos. Is that what you would call him? Mama mi Memo?
We've already said and done enough here. Have some respect. The man's dead.
Elena, please, would you say a few words?
Oh, I think I'm gonna need a few moments to collect myself. But I will speak.
Yoli looks at the audience.
Mijo. Mi Memo.
Yoli begins to cry in front of the picture of her son. She holds her heart with one hand and reaches out the other.
And hold you.
Get up there, mija. She needs you.
Hold you in the palm of his hand.
Elena reluctantly rises and crosses to Yoli.
And hold you. Hold you in the palm of his hand.
Elena walks up to Guillermo's photo and cries. The crying builds a little.
Guillermo. No. Mi Guillermo.
She sniffles and looks between the two photos. She sneakily makes her way over to Leonardo's memorial and begins singing a little more passionately and fondly. She falls to her knees.
Leonardo! You can't leave me here!
Diana walks up to Leonardo's memorial and peels Elena away from the memorial. There's a very brief moment between them that's tense and exquisite. It passes as Diana rolls Elena over back to Guillermo. She returns to Leonardo's memorial and positions herself beautifully and begins her public grieving choreography. She drops precisely 4 tears, does a double dab under each eye, fluffs her hair, grabs her chest, and puts her hand on the large photo.
Hi, Leonardo.
Elena reaches out her hands to Diana from Guillermo's picture.
Leonardo!
Diana shoots her the death stare and Elena cowers.
They must be here with us, watching us. I'd like to say a few words about my late husband, Leonardo. God rest his soul. He was a complicated man with a complicated history. He was passionate and fertile. I felt protected with him near. And I'm blessed to carry his 2 children. Gracias a Dios.
Diana turns to the memorial picture of Leonardo. Elena wails. Diana's rage begins to build until she has a full argument.
You left us. Me, your children, you left us. And then you got to die, you lying sack of caca.
Diana shoves the memorial over. She tears through the flower arrangement, begins punching the picture and ripping it apart. The coffin falls to the ground.
Diana, cálmate.
Baby Angel starts to cry. Diana rushes over to him and holds him and coos for a bit.
Did you see this? There's nothing calm about any of this.
You're being a little dramatic, no? Besides, you're not the only one
Who what, Elena? Who loved him?
lost a husband.
Sure. And next thing I know, you'll probably be telling me that you're pregnant too.
I wasn't gonna say anything until later.
You can't be serious. Prove it.
Frank re-enters the hall.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. We are now going to make our way to the cemetery. The maps are up front.
The attendees shuffled their way to the exit, whispering.
And Miss Elena, I think you left your pen in the bathroom. I put it here. It was wet.
Frank exits with Lupe. It's a pregnancy test. On the table by the exit.
That does not look like a pen to me. Elena?
The crowd stops and then turns back to look at Elena and Diana.
I don't think you get much better proof than that.
Doña, por favor.
What? I should know if I'm going to have a grandbaby.
Diana walks over and notices the positive pregnancy test.
You can't be serious.
Diana picks it up and flings it. The nearby folks wipe off the PB flex they'd caught. Diana gives a long, hard look.
Wow.
Guillermo and I, made love before the wedding. And before they,
Elena makes a stabby gesture.
What? Mijo lives. He lives on in you.
Well, that's a relief. Congratulations. Honestly, I don't know how much more drama I could take. When you think about it, it's already pretty terrible that we did, with the same guy after one of us was already married to him. Sister wives. Well.
Yes, well, praise be to God for a healthy baby for both of us.
Such a shame they'll never know their fathers.
Fathers are overrated.
Elena looks over at Leopoldo, who is peeing on the photo of Leonardo.
Abba, cut that out. We gotta go to the cemetery and you can pee there, right on his grave, just like you'd want. Maybe we'll find the headstone of that tia who hit you too hard with a fly swatter too, and you can give her the finger. Excuse me.
Leopoldo throws the finger to the dead and shuffles off with Elena. Diana rubs her tummy and watches Elena walk out. She files out among the rest of the crowd with Cande and Baby Angel. Leonardo and Guillermo peek out from their respective coffins after everyone has cleared.
See anyone?
I think it's clear. Better get out now, though.
Yeah. Before they haul us to the cemetery.
Well, where are you gonna go?
As far from you as possible.
Come on, man. Maybe we could team up and, figure it out.
No, Leo. No. I already had it figured out. You just can't help yourself, can you, huh? Go mess up your own afterlife. I'm good.
Guillermo dusts himself off and marches in the opposite direction, but he can only go so far before he gets pulled back towards Leo, the opposing force knocking him off his feet.
The hell, you good?
Guillermo takes a labored step and slightly drags Leo.
No way!
What?
Get away from me!
Leo scoffs.
No problem, loser.
Leo marches in the opposite direction and also gets knocked to the ground. It takes a little bit longer for him to get it, and we can tell by the way he writhes and digs his fingers into the floor to try to get away. Leo looks back to Guillermo and then looks towards the heavens, shouting.
No!
Quiet. Just because we're technically dead doesn't mean they can't hear us. Let's just get out of here before someone sees us.
They exit squabbling. Lupe and Frank re-enter after ushering everyone out.
Get some of the guys to help you load them into the hearse.
She lifts one of the coffins as though it weighs nothing.
Oh, Wes, grab the other one and I can help you load them.
No, corazon. I've got them.
He gently has her put it back down, runs his hand through her hair, and kisses her forehead. Next scene. A disco ball elegantly turns, making the walls and floors shimmer and dance like the cosmos. The space is a banquet hall that never did have that party. Guillermo y Elena is projected onto one of the walls along with a pixelated old-ass photo of the two of them together. The moon, Saturn, and Jupiter enter from the darkness, cackling, holding bottles of tequila, shot glasses, and plates of lime and salt. They twirl and dance. They sit down to drink tequila and play cards.
Girl, when you say you gotta go full, you mean all the way full.
Leave her alone.
I'm just kidding. She's a faster learner than you were. Took you forever to figure out what those rings are good for.
Saturn flashes her eyes at Jupiter.
Didn't know you had it in you, honey. That was great. A whole bloodbath.
I don't know what came over me.
You're good. Look at her. It takes me forever to properly plant and then nurture seeds of resentment that I just ultimately have to cross my fingers and hope will turn into a nice, long, hard, messy divorce if I'm lucky. All gross, I guess.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with a slow burn, Sadie. Tonight, let's celebrate another blood quince for Luna.
Confetti and balloons descend from the ceiling.
We can make it right here, right now. They're not using it, are they? Well, at least not for another 15 years. Remember, terms and conditions apply.
The reflections from the disco ball begin to fade as the walls become more like the night sky until Moon, Jupiter, and Saturn are floating in outer space. The dull light from the fountain drink station in the kitchen can be made out in the distance. A disembodied quinceañera dress and a pair of tacones process down the aisle towards Moon, holding a doll that's a cheap, haphazard replica of the moon. Damas y caballeros, te presento la luna, llena, elegante. The doll, the dress, the tacones, Moon, Jupiter, and Saturn dance and twirl to tiempo de vals. As the tempo of the song increases, the dancers increase their tempo faster and faster until Moon slowly begins to turn red. She's a grown woman now. Another blood moon. Then there's a silent explosion of planets and stars. Cackles fill the universe. Diana and Elena sit mending peacefully in rocking chairs in their respective homes, humming the same lullaby to their very pregnant bellies. An earthquake shakes the respective homes of Diana and Elena. Labor pains strike. They moan. The river of blood flows. The planets, she's a woman now. They cackle. The mothers moan again in pain. Two bats circle in Elena's room. The mothers continue to moan, shifting between birthing stances, mostly squatting on all fours, punctuated by rocking and shooing the bats out. Moon twirls on stage slowly and dreamily to tiempo de vals.
Come on, ladies, you got this. Push. Push.
The women angrily groan. The bats fly away. It's almost time for the final push. The two mothers yell a final synchronous shout. Two babies scream.
Ah, they're beautiful. They'll be woman now too, you know.
Welcome to the world, Gloria.
I'm so glad you've arrived, Etzli.
Me too.
The women sigh of exhaustion, joy, relief. The babies suckle from their respective mothers and draw blood. The women wince in pain and grow fangs. Thunder cracks. Guillermo and Leo are in the bushes outside Elena's window.
All right. We know Etzli is here and alive. And it looks like Elena grew fangs. I think the coast is clear.
Now we need to check on Gloria.
And then are we just gonna tell them so we can live as a big happy vampire family?
No. Let me ask you something. How long did it take for you to accept that you're a vampire? Huh? A fantasy sex death monster?
I don't know if I ever saw myself like that.
Leonardo is suddenly quiet. Guillermo walks toward the end of his home, dragging Leonardo.
Exactly. See? It could take them generations to accept the new afterlives. Plus, if you're not ready for that exposure, they might disclose to the wrong person. And that's it for all of us.
So what then? We stay here, walking back and forth. How we finna eat?
We'll go back to human food.
Only human food?
It ain't all bad. Some of the rare meats are close enough.
Do you? And we finna live?
We can live as bats for a little while.
Excuse me? When we got all this, where we? We could just as easily start over somewhere else.
You know what? Nobody told you to make not one, but two baby vampires that will eventually grow old, okay? And I don't think Diana or Elena even know the road they're about to walk either. So that means we have a responsibility. But mostly you have a responsibility. And I'm just the fool who got caught up in your mess. But even if you hadn't ruined everything, I'd be here for them. They're our daughters, and we get to be their fathers. I choose to be their father, okay?
Fine, you're right. And what about Angel?
We're here for him too.
I'm glad they're all okay.
For now. Let's see what happens when Gloria and Etzli turn 15.
15? We're doing this for 15 years.
Yeah, at least. You got somewhere to be?
The planetas cackle and thunder cracks again. Next scene. Diana, Gloria, and Angel walk in a clockwise circle. Elena and Etzli also walk in a clockwise circle, always 180 degrees away from one another. They maintain the same speed and direction for the duration of the scene. They age as they walk in circles. Guillermo and Leonardo walk counterclockwise around the two families. Their speeds change to the scene. They start off as far apart from each other as possible, struggling for the first few laps. Then they grow closer and closer until a close stillness as the women continue. A union and surrender. They resume walking, holding hands, caring for one another and their families through the paces.
Ama, what was our papa like?
What was my papa like?
Leo.
Diana loses herself in thought for a moment. Elena and Etzli stare at each other.
I know you don't like to talk about him, but he's been gone for 14 years, Ama. And we always talk about him on this day.
Ama!
Hi. Sorry, Mika. I must have gone somewhere.
Elena takes a deep breath.
Leo was
handsome,
ambitious,
brave,
spontaneous,
confident,
arrogant,
and Mommy, and what?
A vampire, Mija.
Oh, Well, I know that.
Which means
it'll maybe even be part of who I become.
Mija?
something will change for you when you're 15.
I just don't know what exactly.
Speaking of 15, we should really start planning your quinceañera.
You're making me a quince.
You're making me a quince. Oh, mommy, no.
Oh, I'll be a chamalan, but I want to look good, okay?
What's our budget, mommy?
Come on, mija. Why don't you enjoy one last hurrah with the last bit of humanity left in you?
What's the point?
Well,
too bad. I've already got the hall. I paid for it when your papi died.
Oh. Okay. Is it nice?
Oh.
It's paid for.
Fine, but only if it's a vampire quince.
Mija.
I'm sure we can figure something out.
She doesn't want a quince. I'll take it. I didn't get one.
She gets 2 days, Angel. Her quince and her wedding, because every other day is going to be hell, even more so once she grows a pair of these.
Yeah, and it's
hey, mama. There's a steak in the fridge.
I'm okay.
¿Cómo que vampire quince? Are you crazy?
Edsley? On page 35. Top of 35?
In plain sight is one of the best places to hide.
What do we say?
Mommy, I think we have to get you fresh blood to shake this.
What do we say? What do we say?
Tell no one.
No one.
Spare everyone.
Liam and Guillermo stop circling. A small click is heard from Gloria and Edsley. Their fangs are sprouting.
Uh-oh.
Gloria and Edsley touch their mouths. How'd that happen?
Good thing
I made us an appointment
for us at the hall tomorrow.
Better get this show on the road.
Ándale, go to bed. Also, I told Yoli she could be one of your madrinas.
Mommy, no!
Let the old lady enjoy her life. Bed.
Edsley stomps away. The two families exit, leaving behind Leonardo and Guillermo.
All right. Okay, let's do it today. They're already going to set up the quince. All right.
Hold up. I got an idea. How good are you at shape-shifting into other human forms?
All right.
Okay. The girls are going to need chamalanes, no?
Yeah, so?
We can be the chamalanes, fool.
I don't. That's a little weird.
Como que weird? If we weren't there as their chamalanes, we'd be there as our fathers.
Yeah, don't mean that ain't weird. No, wait.
Fine. Well, how else are we going to justify getting close so we can all get out before we see what happens when they finally turn? That needs to happen in a safe place. Can't happen here.
I see. You're right.
They shapeshift into teenagers. The transformation is energetic and embodied primarily.
Ooh.
Not too bad.
Not so bad yourself. I think we cleaned up nice as teens.
Mm-hmm. We ain't gonna enroll in school now, though, right? Some vampires really don't be doing the most with all of that. We live forever. The fuck we going to school for?
Yeah, for real. Pero nah. I think we're good since we'll be out of here in a little while. Fewer questions. Let's go get our family.
They share a joyful kiss and exit. Sundown Funeral Home and other special events is now Lupe's place, a family-friendly Tex-Mex spot that's always bustling with customers. Lupe is hustling, trying to tend to all the customers. Diana enters with Gloria and Angel. Gloria is wearing a bedazzled crown with 15 rainbow ribbons that cascade down her hair. She keeps having to intermittently swat Angel away. Frank enters with a full tray of dishes, clanging and the sizzle of fajitas. He hobbles slowly across the stage, holding the full tray. It's a precarious, painfully lengthy distance, and the journey has a Bill Irwin vibe.
Come on. Let me try it on.
No, Angel, you can wear it all you want after I'm done with it.
Angel swipes the crown off Gloria's hair.
Angel, give it back!
You should have just let me try it on in the car, bitch.
He puts the crown on and inspires some righteous hairography as Frank continues his own cross. Everyone claps along. Angel and Frank finish their routines at the same time. Lube shuffles over to the host stand, clapping.
You're tangling the ribbons, bitch.
Ay, qué feo hablan. Enough. Pull yourselves together.
Muy bien. Table for 3. I'll throw in a free flan for the show. That was good.
This place has changed quite a bit.
Wes?
You don't remember me.
Wes?
Sold me a funeral quince combo.
I see. Wes?
This is...
More quince friendly, no?
Well, I expected there to be more building.
The priest we work with doesn't mind.
Doesn't mind?
Doing mass outside. God works in mysterious ways.
Truly.
Wasn't there another lady with you when I sold you that?
The door squeaks and Elena peeps her head in. She opens the door and enters with Etzli.
Well, speak of the devil.
And it's Spawn.
Oh, like we should talk.
It's different.
No, it's not. You just want it to be.
Gloria snatches the crown off Angel and places it back on her head as Elena and Etzli enter.
Well, hello.
She goes in for the standard greeting of a kiss on each cheek.
Diana, good to see you.
Elena, these are my kids, Gloria and Angel.
Hey.
Nice to meet you. This is my daughter, Etzli. Etzli, this is Diana.
Diana, heard a lot about you.
Angel?
Oh, like what?
Well, she's your mom. I'm sure you know what someone might say about her.
Angel and Gloria unlock their fangs. The earth shakes and some plates rattle. Etzli unlocks her fangs. Beat. Gloria and Angel begin to choke. Distorted whispers fill the air. Etzli calm looks at them as they continue to gasp. As they choke, blood leaks from their fangs.
Etzli! Etzli! Etzli!
Etzli releases her grip.
Let me make something very clear to all of you. Get a hold of yourselves, or we're all dead. Got it?
It won't happen again, right?
Gloria and Angel nod. Etzli reluctantly agrees.
I think the priest might mind that, actually.
Mind what?
That stuff.
She points to her teeth.
Yes, of course.
But we could maybe skip the surface. I think exorcisms cost extra. We could make the patio up real nice. But I only have 1 weekend left in the year. 3 weeks from now. Do you think you could be ready by then?
My sister and her comadre make quinceañera dresses.
3 weeks from now.
My birthday isn't even until November. 8 months from now.
Same. Plus, I'm not doing a double quince with a fresa.
Excuse me?
Oh, my bad.
Whatever.
Don't worry. I'll call you fresa next time.
Whatever you say, Daddy.
Angel's hand covers his mouth. Etzli gives an evil chuckle.
You can't do that. It's
against code.
Whose code?
The one we're potentially being initiated into? You really gonna jeopardize that right now?
The first provision of the code is self first.
Yeah, but
anyway, Lupita, you're hosting my quince here in 3 weeks?
Ashley places a gentle besito on Lupe's cheek.
Claro, mija.
Your quince?
We'd be happy to share.
Mom!
Happy to.
A few minutes ago, there wasn't enough building for you.
Thank you. That's very thoughtful.
I can make it a double quince, no problem.
No, we can find another venue. It's all yours.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't be. It's fine.
No, I'm sorry you won't be able to find another hall.
I beg your pardon?
Well, the coupon says that you are granted exclusivity to sundown funeral homes and other special events to host your quince. Y también no backsies. Nobody else will host your event.
No backsies? I believe the backsies happened when your venue became fully booked the year my daughter turns 15.
We made a deal.
Flames are up, screams fill the air. All the people leading slowly turn to look at Diana. The tension climbs. It all ends suddenly and goes back to normal.
Understood. Doble quince in 3 weeks. It is. Right, mija?
Sounds good.
Yeah, can't wait.
And it's vampire themed, just so you know.
They all flash fang smiles at each other. To be continued. Thank you so much. Yes. Yay. Actors come on screen. Everybody come on screen.
Oh, yay!
Y'all are amazing.
Hell yeah!
Everybody back. Everybody back. Thank you all so much. Actors, thank you for some really amazing reading. We're going to talk about the play now. Actors, if you want to stay and be part of the conversation, we would love to have you. But if you also need to head out, we understand. Whatever you need to do, you got to do. I want to begin by asking folks, what are some of the moments that that really pop for you, moments that you're gonna be thinking about tomorrow when you wake up, like, oh my God, that moment in the text. Anybody go on ahead? Taji.
So this seems really minute, but it I think kind of speaks to a thing I've been thinking about a lot, but that exchange between Yoli and Leopoldo about having bad taste in men doesn't make you bad, it makes you sad, and it makes everything around you bad. That really, I'm so sorry, there are sirens loudly blaring where I'm at, blaring where I'm at, but that made me just think, that really popped out to me as a possible thematic structure or a possible thing to lean into. The consequences of who we choose as partners. And I'll speak, I said the word choose in this moment, but that word, it feels really, choice in this play feels really loaded and complicated. And so I'll speak to that later, but that is something that popped out as in hearing this time, I was like, oh, that's a big deal. So.
Nice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Other things from folks. Jesus.
All of the duels that happen throughout, it feels like a thing of duels. I mean, it feels like this sort of constant. And I just keep thinking about what it means to sort of engage in a duel and shoot the person down, and then they just get right back up to just do it again. I keep thinking a lot about the dual wailing in the funeral scene, and then this last sort of also the mothers talking to their daughters about the quinceañeras, that sort of is happening as a sort of interesting crossfire of a scene, and then this last scene that we land on, I'm also really fascinated by the way that Angel disturbs like what seems to be a really clear line of like mother daughter. Like Angel is this kind of like errant thing that comes in and disturbs. I'm really curious about like about that.
Nice. Mary Alice Cypos in the chat, little plastic knives. Indeed. A knife fight with McDonald's knives.
Yeah. Not so much on the theme, but I wanted to give a shout out to Olivia and Cassandra for just the rapid fire, like, you know, ability to nail what that, I guess, the dual sense was going to be, and just sort of just hitting that perfect. It was really fun to watch behind closed video. It was nice.
Nice. Cassie, I saw you put in the chat the circling action. Yeah, the circling action with the planets on stage.
Yeah, it is very astronomical.
Indeed. Indeed, idea of orbits. Other folks.
I love the moment where logistics and budgets come into but the planning and just like the history of the families, like just like they make them real. Budgets make us real. Logistics make things real, and they like open up a world, like just like some throwaway lines. They just like open up an entire world that I think like really deepen the piece. And in general, you have a lot of like these like phrases that are just like minor, but like they just like stick with me. Like the description from the top, I just keep thinking about it. I'm sorry, I like forgot. She doesn't know how to sell a head tilt in a portrait session. Like that is an entire archetype that like I hadn't like seen labeled before. It's like that you're creating like commedia dell'arte characters, I think.
Thank you.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I appreciated kind of the idea of like life happens, you know, in the play, and like it's very complicated and messy, and like there's like my heart is like, wow, how could this happen? But then it's also like the ability for people to like continue planning, like Victor was saying, like creating like logistical plans, budgets, and moving forward somewhat like a family, but staying in relationship to each other, because it is what it is. Like things now have happened and we have to continue living.
Thank you.
But they're continuous, sorry.
No, you're good.
I was gonna say they're bartering, like just the bartering that they do between each other and with each other.
Yeah, I was gonna say that like the characters, I love this script so much because like my best friend, her mom worked as like a decorator for quinces and special events, and like I saw these women every weekend, and it just feels so like I find it very hard to find scripts that look like the people that I grew up with, and this definitely is one, and I appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Indeed. That's the funeral all over for me, particularly the competitive mourning. Like that, I could not keep a straight face with this, like the as people said in the chat, the mutual singing being so amazing, and like just the idea of two separate funeral songs playing on a loop and being like, deal with these two things happening at once, was hilarious, and then like the pregnancy test and the pee and like all that. That felt like I love watching those like performances of mourning, you know, at Mexican funerals where it's competitive. It's pure. It's utterly competitive.
I agree with you about the funeral. I mean, all of it combined, knowing their personalities and backgrounds and everything that's happened. And then that the music, the two songs would dictate where they were going to sit. That just threw me. I'm like, don't laugh, don't start laughing. It was really funny, especially right before we started singing. I'm like, okay, I got it now. This is great.
Nice. Tashi.
A line that stuck out to me was, I think it's Guillermo's line where he's like, where he's like, oh, we're gonna stick around for 15 years or something like that. Like it's that line about like how long they have to wait for the maturation, for the quince to happen. And that made me wonder like how time functions in this world. So all of my notes and questions sort of fall into three categories, and that's rules of the world, interiority, and character history. And so how time functions in this world is really curious to me, and it seems to be, it seems prominent, and I have no idea in what direction. I don't know the significance of time, but you use a lot of, even in the stage directions, you use a lot of like time language, like they move clockwise, they da 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 da. So I'm just curious about like, yeah, what is time to all of these characters? You know, what yeah, like what is 15 years to Elena and Diana as opposed to Guillermo and Leonardo now that they're the undead? Like, what is time to the undead? Forever Light, yeah, Olivia just brought that up. So just that idea, if we're thinking about logistics make us real, and we're thinking about like details are what is what makes us human. Okay, I'm rambling. I'm gonna take a step back. So thinking about the thing that separates like humans from animals is this idea of existentialism, right? Like everything for animals is immediate and present in right here, right now. Humans sort of create this sort of like thought and thinking about thoughts and thinking about the self and thinking about blah, 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 blah. And a lot of that existentialism is dictated by being concerned with details. You know, our own personal timelines, our own personal whatever. So I'm just curious about like, especially for Elena, especially for the women, especially for Elena and Diana, like what does time mean to these two women? There's so much we could go down as far as like biological clocks and what it means to be a mother, and you know, what time is to women versus what time is to men, and yada, 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 biologically speaking. And I guess like in the way we construct gender with time, how time is assigned to each gender. But that's kind of, anyway, time, that's my thought.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice. I want to say, Krysta, what are some of the questions that you have for us? What are some things that are useful for you? Also, Taji, like I think the questions you raised are very, very important. I'm very intrigued by World of the Play. I'm very intrigued by like, you know, like vampires are so often creatures of rules. Particularly like, I love the whole like, for some reason, Guillermo and Leo are bonded together now and can't separate from one another. And I'm curious as to why that is. But then also like I think about how one of the big like vampire mythology sticking points is often the idea of like, you can only go where you're invited, you know? And I think there's a lot of things that are like partially on the table or like screening edge of the table that are about like territory and invitation and who do you allow in and when, that I'm like, ooh, that's intriguing to me. Space, time and space. Minor things like that. But yes, but Krysta, what are some questions you have for us?
I primarily, like, you know, I've tried to take in as much vampire content as I could, because I'm trying to really pay off that particular promise, especially with blood. So if there are opportunities for more vampire canon and understanding to beef out, because all the scenes with Leo and Memo are actually really new, and like much earlier in the drafts than say the funeral. So I am like trying to get that information right. So if you have vampire opportunities or corrections, I need help with that. And I love the planetas, but I don't know if they fit, but let's fight about it. Proceed.
I have a question about what the, oh, was that a wave or was that her hand raised? Sorry, I didn't mean to like.
Oh, no. So that was a little wave bye to Savannah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm Blake. I have a question about what are some like vampire misconceptions that you're trying to dispel in your play, in your like that you're like, this is like what people get wrong about vampires.
So I've actually I have this thought, and it's not nice, but I feel like I have to say the not nice thing, but it's really scary. Sometimes I feel like the vampire content that's so available is white people being horny to be othered, or maybe, and the kind flip side of that would be white people being curious about what that feels like. I want to believe that it's an investigation of what that might feel like, and vampirism seems to be a predominant shell for that. And so I wanted, and watching like Blackula, Vampire in Brooklyn, there was something very special to me about seeing us have harm thrown at us and not actually be harmed. So that was something that was really important that I wanted to revisit and think about within this comedy, right? The stopping the thing and turning it around. So that's one of the ways that the vampire idea, that's something I was holding in this draft. And yeah, I'm not sure what else it was that I was hoping to craft from that. At this point, I'm really just like, what does that look like? What does it mean when even if we are vampires, we still have to think about how to protect ourselves? Because yeah, I was thinking a lot about who is playing vampires.
Yeah. That's powerful. I wonder what that conversation would look like in the script.
Okay.
Because that's just like absolutely flooring, and just like, I don't know, it's yeah.
Taji?
Yeah, I think that I hear you, I feel you 110%. I think that I really appreciate Victor's question, and I think you can discover some of those things as a writer once you get clear, or not clear, but even more specific on how things function. Yeah. And like, again, what are the rules that these vampires, what are the rules that your vampires do and do not live by? And I think you can sort of, those questions will start to sort of answer themselves, or those things will start to bubble up. Because I had a similar question to Rudy about like, is this the first time Guillermo and Leonardo have done this dance? And if so, like, I think the question at the start of every play is always like, what is the thing that presses start on this story? Like, why is this day different from any other day? So like, if Guillermo has been a vampire since, the first blood moon, I want to know why the moon chose them. I want to know why the moon chose them. I want to know, do they have legacies and families elsewhere? Like, why do they care about, like, if I'm Guillermo and I like, because there's this mechanism of like, you hit a certain age and then you have to devour your loved ones. You have to, get rid of them because they start asking questions. What happened to where are the memories of that? And that falls into my notes about character history. That's like a little Venn diagram of character history in rules of the world. And then I just wanted to talk about, just very briefly, you asked the questions about whether or not the planets work. I think they work. I love them. Again, rules of the world, right? Like, there seems to be another theme that seems to be happening in this play. Is like, I said earlier, like, this thing about choice, and choice is really particular in this play, because I don't know who's making these choices for these characters. Because Elena strikes me as like someone, if she could have avoided making the mistake of sleeping with Leonardo, she wouldn't have done it. she seems really genuine and just like archetypally speaking, she seems like the kind of character who thinks rightness will undo class, who thinks goodness will undo her station in life. So why does she make this decision if that seems to be so out? And this is just that could be way off base, but like, the question is like, why would she make this choice for herself if it's so out of alignment with, from my understanding of her being really good? Why did she make this choice? Why did she, for lack of it, why did she fuck it up for herself like this? And then Memo has that line about like, you should have been with Diana, like you should have been the one to do this. And Leonardo's like, well, I would have, I'm so sorry, I'm mixing up the character lines, but that moment is like, well, I could have, should have, would have. And I think that's just such like a visceral thing. Like when we have, it makes me think of the psychology book, It Didn't Start With You, about, now I'm getting into like dumb epigenetic shit, but I just wonder about like, who is making the choices for us, right? Yeah. Like sometimes like we want things, we desire things for ourselves, but they don't come from us. Sometimes that comes from ancestrally, sometimes that comes, subconsciously, sometimes it is Mercury retrograde. So I think that the planets are effective in that way. My specific question about the planets is like, I also wonder, they make these choices, but do they also who is making these fate choices for these characters? Who's dictating what overarching figure is like watching these characters and making these choices for them? And that seems like more work and more choices for the planets to do. And the last thing I'll say about that I think could make the planets boost their function or bolster their function, if like fate is like a kind of character in this world. When is fate winning and when is fate losing? And like, when are the characters giving fate a run for its money? When is there ever when is that tension of like, this is the thing that's supposed to happen, but Hercules meets Megara or whatever. Sorry, that was a really white, boring, Disney Channel, whatever. But you know what I mean? Do you know?
I know exactly what you mean. I just want to point out some things in the comments that are coming in. Olivia saying, if the planets stay and vampires, what happens when the moon gets hungry? I'm curious what happens when Jupiter and Saturn get hungry. Okay. Semenchi, how much influence do the planets have on the behaviors of the human vampire character? Yeah. Cassie, astrology moments, which of course I'm so into. And then Cassie also, I'm curious if Catholicism monotheism gets mentioned further in this piece. Something I want to also say is that I think I really love what you're saying about vampires, Krysta, and I think there's something to and then Victor, that question, what are you trying to disprove about vampires? Something in this that I don't normally encounter in vampire mythology are the earthquakes, which I really love a lot. Okay. And I love that, like, and that Etzli seems to be more powerful than the other vampires. And like, the way my brain is working, and whether this is true of the play or not, is going to be like, this is the connection my brain starts to make, is that like, well, it's because she was born out of a passionate affair as opposed to like a dull marriage, that kind of like vampire passion, blood, blah blah blah, like kind of like has upped her power level, but maybe it's something else. And then thinking also the earthquakes, how like that's the fourth planet that's now in here. Like, I'm wondering, what is the relationship between the moon, Jupiter, and Saturn, and the Earth? And is Etzli more connected to the Earth? Are they all connected to the Earth? What's that relationship is something I'm interested in. And Michael coming in, also there's a movie called Vampires in the Bronx. There's a great conversation on gentrification, like the experience of Saturn America through the lens of vampires. Okay. Nice. I didn't know that.
Vampires.
I wanted to like I'm still thinking a lot about your earlier comment, Krysta, about like vampirism and thinking alongside like Olivia's comment about the planets and Taji talking about like the idea of choice and sort of like predetermination, and I'm thinking a lot about like the way that like more like sort of traditional notions of vampirism kind of both denounce like ancestral line, right? Like because it like the vampire is not born of natural birth, so there is like it sort of suspends the logic of ancestry. But also it doesn't, right? Because it actually sort of like it creates a system that hyperlocalizes like the ancestor inside of the person who turned you, right? Like who sired or whatever the sort of technology for becoming vampire is. And I'm thinking a lot about like yeah, what are the sort of like weird like what does the power grid look like between like the vampire, the planet, and these and how so much of the idea of coming into your own, coming into your power, becoming, right, like are almost always questions of choice, and they're almost always framed as a choice that you want to make, right? That like that the quinceañera almost always assumes that like the person experiencing it like not only wants this, but wants the attachments that come with the transition, right? That come with the becoming. And I'm wondering about, yeah, like what does it mean to not want it or to want something the wrong way? And how does that how does wanting something the wrong way then disturb like the power grids that assume they created your want, right? Like if you know, like I don't know, like I guess I'm wondering like about like different vampire lores, right, where like the person who turns you has such a sort of like specific power over you and how you function, even though the vampire is supposed to be this sort of very willful, like indomitable figure. A lot of lore sort of says like, you know, like yes, you can do anything, and also you respond to this person who like you respond to the person who made you in the most direct sense. And then there's the sun, right? And then there is the sun above them that's like, yeah, that's cool. And also, no, Campfire Daddy though. Campfire Daddy issues. This is the new CW show that
Whoa, let's pitch it right now. I'm seeing Cabin in the Woods. I'm seeing a summer camp. It's a vampire summer camp.
Vampire summer camp. I love that. But yeah, like I guess like I am just really like wondering about like about how often young people are actually the thing that keeps upending and like disturbing and like upsetting like power grids for people, and like and what potential there is to think about that.
I had a quick question, and I am going to bounce, but this did resonate with me, Jesus, where you were saying there seems to be a lot of control going on, like who's in control, who's got control. Like obviously, I read Guillermo, so I read that part a few times, and for Guillermo, it felt a lot like he was being controlled by like his mom, like just being the good guy, and as such, kind of felt like he was somebody who you know, even though he is a vampire, like Jesus was saying, like he's not the one who's in control. It feels like he's not the one out there using that power the way that you would in traditional vampire tales, which I loved, because that, you know, that's a and I feel like a lot of people within that, Elena, a lot of people were trying to find control or find, you know, what they wanted and fucking things up. Sorry for my language. I hope that's okay. And all this other things, and it felt like through the lines, if you look at almost everybody, there was also a sense of that, like Diana being a person who is in control but is actually not, because, you know, her husband's sleeping around, and but, you know, she's like, you know, everybody, you know, so it's like, you know, there's a lot of drama with a person who's put together to know to cry 4 times but not put enough together to keep this, you know, bubble from bursting. So I like that a lot. But yeah, I'm gonna go. I loved it so much. This was awesome. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
I have a quick like thought. I have a thought. This conversation made me think back to Victor's earlier question about like what misconceptions about vampires, and like Jesus's idea or thought about like the person who turns you is the person who controls you. a thought that I had as it relates to Elena is like, she seems, and this is the thing I wonder about, like, do we do this through the acting or through the writing or through some combination of both? She seems to be the character for whom this loss is most consequential, but I'm unsure of like what the consequences are, because I'm unsure of what the stakes are for her. Like, I can guess at it, but I think we can get really specific about what the stakes are. And then that makes me think about this other idea of like, if we know and are like, I'll speak for myself, in my Western idea of vampires as like a thing that like leeches and takes and controls. I wonder, is there a world, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the world of your play, Krysta, but I wonder, is there a world in which vampires give and it's an overflow of giving? You know, like, what does it mean to like concave? Because I think the way vampires in the Western world present, because they are, what is it, fantasy sex gods or whatever?
Yeah.
Because they are that, I think about the physical gesture of like, vampires typically show up at the door like this, but is there a world where vampires exist like this? Like that giving of oneself, that turning over of oneself? Because what Jesus made me think of is like, and I just finished Song of Solomon, and so many of those characters, I think a lot about Hagar Dead and that character, and this is a family whose life is, their dead is in their name. They're the living deads. But I think a lot about Hagar Dead, and I think about how she gave herself over to grief, and how like really the thing that is most in control over you is the thing that like harms you the most. Like, you can get like all the love and care in the world, but like, it's, you know, sans good therapy, the most traumatic thing is like the pockmark of the soul. That's the name of my memoir, Pockmark of the Soul. It's like the shit that like doesn't go away. And so I think about that being a vampiric force, especially for Elena. And that makes me think of like that. I have a question that I don't know that you need to have the answer to right now about why Diana and Elena both turn. And I want to know about Angel, and what does that mean? Is he a muggle and he doesn't turn, but he just has, you know, he has spectator privileges of all of this? He seems like a linchpin. Angel just feels like a motherfucking linchpin, and I want to know what happens. But yeah, all of that to say, like, I just wonder about, is this a world wherein like grief causes the opposite thing, or like the thing that controls you causes, instead of this, causes this? And I don't know what this is in text, but that's my thought, especially for Black and brown folks. I don't know people who have been plundered more than us, who give as much as us, and who are asked to give as much as us, especially a brown woman. You know what I mean? Like, I think about like the ways in which, like, especially now in this like moment of like racial unrest, how so much of the work, how so much of the labor policies of brown women and the intellectual work of Black women is being leveraged into like white platitudes. So again, it's this thing that like, that's harming us, that's constantly making us do this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But framed as for us. That's the treacherous part. Yeah, the vampire part.
Just to piggyback on that, I thought it was really interesting that the moment that turns the women is this act of like giving birth and then breastfeeding, which is this shape, right? But that it's like, it's the babies that turn the mothers, which is like the opposite of how we normally think about things, but really it's how it always goes, right? And so then it is this thing of giving, and I think what really like hit that home for me was the line that Diana has of everything changes once you grow a pair of these, right? Yeah, I think I was thinking too of this whole idea of like the one that turns you, and in this case, it's actually the children that turn the mothers and turn them into something else. And for them, it is this thing of once they become a vampire, it's all just give, 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 give. They don't have anything else for themselves.
I have ideas about, or not ideas, but just a thought about the planets and like what the fight that you want to have about them or not have about it. And right, that's not what I'm interested in. I think of me, and I think of like how many relationships I can keep track of and that I can serve as well, right? Like that is like, so it's not about like size, cast size, or like, but just like in this world that I'm building, how many relationships can I keep track of and can I serve as well in this like limited amount of time that we have? And something that I see, and just like, I'm just wondering like how like the planets are aligned with the characters, and like, I'm gonna leave that there. And then the other thing is I think of, I don't know why, since maybe I think it's because it was you, Taji, right, that brought up Hercules. Yeah. I'm gonna blame you. I thought of Sleeping Beauty, and I thought of like what Disney has done to that property. We don't need a backstory for Maleficent. I just like thinking about like that narrative is so sparse, right? Like there's like, and like, but like the stakes are so high, and like the world, it's like the absence of the world that is so clear there. I don't know if that makes sense. Like you see the isolation of Princess Aurora out in the woods, and it's just like those three people, and like, but yet there's a whole world about it, and like we don't really know the confines of it, or like we don't know what's outside of it, right? But like there's we just see like a little slice of what the world is, and yet that is enough. And also, like, I think the story is richer when we don't know Maleficent's exact motives or how she became that way. Like, she can just be that way, right? Like, because I don't want to do that labor.
So I'm going to turn this over to Krysta as host for y'all to finish out the conversation. But before I do, the last thing that I would say is with that in mind, like relationship that got me thinking about how, and this is something that was also, I think, like interestingly true of Más Cara in terms of like the number relationships, like as in like, are they triads or dyads that happen in the show starts creating correspondences in our brains, whether we want them to or not. And I feel like there are so many, and this is not one way or the other, but like it's interesting that there are so many dyads. There are so many, like there's Guillermo and Leo, there's like Elena and Diana, there's Gloria and Esther, there's Yoli and Leopoldo, there's Lupe and Frank. The moon is one of the few, like the planets are one of the few triads.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole thing of like Angel being like a linchpin, like Angel is also one of the things that is messing with a dyad. Like it occurs to me like I cast it the way I did, just because I was like, okay, like, you know, I was like, I gotta get the casting out. I think having read through it now, I'd be like, what if it doesn't have to be doubled, but if it were doubled, I'd be like, what if Etzli, the actors playing Etzli, Gloria, and Angel, what if they're Saturn, Jupiter, and the moon? Like, because again, these trinities that are there with the dyads and everything like that. But that'll be my last thought before I turn it over to Krysta entirely. Make you the host.
Thank you, Rudy.
I'll be have fun. Have fun. Be safe.
Okay. Thank you.